And we're back with another Venom fanfiction, just in time for Venom 2.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this one might be a two-parter because it's very long.
Okay. It's called More by Nununununu. Alright. Let's get going. V? Towel wrapped around his waist, Eddie peeked into their bedroom, fresh from the shower with his hair still damp. I'm ready.
I'm glad to hear it.
Venom was a great dark shape with a killer smile in the dim glow of the nighttime city lights coming in through the windows. He produced a polite tentacle to gesture with.
If you would remove the towel, I will see to the cage.
Oh no. Chucking the damp towel into a corner, his warm skin prickling in the cool air of the room, Eddie glanced down at the very convincing series of interlocking symbiote metal rings enclosing his cock, complete with an adjoining loop around his balls.
You have abstained from touching yourself while wearing it as agreed?
While Venom had to be aware of the answer, he asked this anyway. Yeah, Eddie had to pause to take a breath in, feeling his cock attempt to stir, only to be stymied by the presence of the cage. Mostly. He'd slipped his pinky finger into the little gap for pissing to stroke his glands early on. Oh boy, we're in for it. The head of the cock called the glands. Like, I know what that's called, but, like, do you have to use that word? Curious, but he had to stop when the need to get hard had got too much. It didn't help that wearing the cage really turned him on. A trickle of pre-cum. Like I've said before, these fanfiction boys and their weepy dicks. A trickle of pre-cum was seeping from the slit of his cock now, slickening the smallest loop. The cage rippled around him, losing its apparently inanimate status as it tightened, slowly squeezing his shaft.
Mostly.
The repetition was dark. Mostly, Eddie confirmed, panting, his stomach jerking. The grip didn't hurt, but it was entirely arousing, and his dick was still trapped, aching to fill out. He whined, "Please."
I don't think so.
At that, the cage simply retreated, liquefying and then forming into a long, slender strand that was sucked into his slit, zipping up into Eddie through his urethra in a way that had his knees buckling. His hands going out to catch himself on tentacles that lashed out to support him, fastening onto the ceiling and walls. Fucking oh my god! His dick was going from 0 to 100 in seconds.
Down, Eddie.
The tentacle poked out of his hip, flattened into something approximating a hand, and slapped his cock. Sending it bouncing off his belly. A bright shock of brilliant sensation that made Eddie cry out. The fat drops of fresh pre-cum splattered on the floor. As Eddie yanked at the tentacles, stringing him up, his mind and body alight with need. Venom, please, please, please do that again. Fuck.
I think you might need a little help remembering the terms of our arrangement.
Venom mused instead. I do? I think I really do. Eddie pressed his lips together to muffle pleading whimpers as his dick deflated, without him having any say in it whatsoever. His head craning down eagerly to watch as it softened until it hung limp and quiescent between his legs. Oh, Yes. That's awesome.
There.
Venom did not, however, remove any of the arousal throbbing its way through the rest of his host's body. Eddie's skin tingling, his breath shallow, nipples stiffly peaked and belly quivering with the force of his desire. His ass clenched on nothing. Balls heavy and aching, as if the massive symbiote had traveled into him through his dick, remained curled up there. It was all wonderful. Wonderful. Sounds wonderful.
That's better.
Pleased, Venom formed a little head and bent to give the still weeping tip of Eddie's flushed and tender limp dick a little suckling kiss in reward. Symbiote had done something to make his tiny tongue feel like ice. Cold making Eddie yelp in panting delight when the point slipped in under his foreskin to tickle his slit. God, this is so fucking... Whisking over the glistening head.
You're doing well, Eddie.
The praise made him shiver more than the cold. The tentacles holding him up loosened and gave him a little nudge towards the bed.
Now lie down and make yourself comfortable with your back against the mattress.
Okay, yeah. Stumbling the few steps needed to take him over to it, Eddie bashed his pillow and bit his lip at the sight of the stirrups that rose up into being. You want me to, use those?
Yes.
Venom sent out a couple of tentacles to curl around his ankles as Eddie angled himself onto the mattress and lay back, helping him lift his feet one after the other and position them in the stirrups.
They will optimize viewing.
Cool. Cool. Blinking at the ceiling, Eddie inhaled shallowly at the feeling of his cock seeking to stir back to life as his knees fell open, thighs parting so his balls lay empty between the V of his legs, his dick resting to one side. Because V, and also for Venom.
Yeah. We got you.
Do you get it?
We get it.
Here.
Venom sent out a smaller tendril to reposition it, winding around Eddie's shaft to angle it on top of his balls so the head pointed down over them in a neat line. Want me nice and symmetrical, huh? Eddie chuckled, even as he felt his cock jerk at the touch.
Yes.
The symbiote agreed. He increased the size of his head, rising up over Eddie to consider him, with swirling white eyes.
You look pleasing like this. You looked pleasing earlier, too. Desperate for me, but...
The little tentacle played idly with Eddie's dick, making his breath catch. What?
But we have plans for you, Eddie.
Sharp teeth grazed Eddie's vulnerable belly as Venom grinned.
And we want you far more desperate before the end.
Eddie was quivering all over, intently aware of how soft and open he appeared to the symbiote's gaze.
A willing banquet.
Venom agreed and licked Eddie's... taint and balls up over his dick, painting a line up the length of his stomach and chest to his chin.
I could eat you all up easily.
Those teeth grazed Eddie's pulse, tongue looping loosely around his neck. I bet you could. Eddie was clutching the sheets in an attempt to restrain himself. Kneading. Bind my hands. Please.
Gladly.
Thick strips of symbiote leather wound around Eddie's wrists, forming into snug cuffs. A tentacle snagged them up, dragging his hands together over his head, fastening onto the headboard. Fee! Eddie squirmed with approval, legs kicking a bit in the stirrups.
Hush, Eddie.
Venom was there above him, forming his massive body, hands going down to hold Eddie's ankles until they stilled.
Hush. We must proceed with the inspection.
Oh, anticipation leapt even higher in Eddie's chest. Yes, please.
Very well.
Awarding him an approving grin, Venom picked up his dick between his thumb and forefinger.
Let's start with this.
He worked his host's foreskin back, exposing and then gently pressing down on the glands.
You ready?
Causing it to expand the slit to widen and open up.
You ready?
Eddie trembled, especially when Venom made a considering sound that sent a tentacle out to turn on the lamp, angling it so the light fell directly on his cock. He wet his lips. Looking okay?
How did it feel earlier?
Venom asked as he formed a stiffer little tentacle than usual, sinking it an inch or so inside Eddie's cock, very much like a sound. Great! Eddie tried not to whimper when Venom withdrew it, only to insert it deeper the next time. He tried hinting. You know this does too. Venom glanced up at his face and then down at his cock.
Oh, good.
And let the imitation sound break off the end of the tentacle, parting ways so it sank right down Eddie's urethra until just the tip was peeking out. Oh, God. Eddie yanked at his restraints as his dick jerked harder. The movement of it pushing the sound out a bit, only for gravity to suck it back down again. His cock doing its utmost to fuck itself. Oh, God! It felt so fucking amazing. It was almost unbearable.
A problem?
Venom pretended to think.
Perhaps this might help.
He formed a little plug on the end of Eddie's dick to keep the sound trapped. Good idea. Grinning broadly at his host's whimper.
Now to continue the observation.
Shit! Eddie could only hiss as his shaft was inspected. Strong, firm fingers moving and manipulating it, running over its length. Gentle touches that only intensified his awareness of the sound inside him. His balls were rolled and fondled, tucked up close against his body before being drawn down.
Perhaps something here as well.
Venom closed a tentacle around them, and that did something to make it heavier than usual, laying it down.
Better?
Much, Eddie mewled as those fingers found his perineum next. Tentacles feathering out to stroke the sensitive skin of his inner thighs and the back of his knees. He gasped as Venom parted the cheeks of his ass, stroking lightly over the rim of his hole. Please!
Of course, it's important that we check here too.
Venom obligingly sank a tentacle inside. The shape of it felt different from usual. Oddly familiar. Almost like a speculum. Fucking kill me. Eddie could feel the muscles of his ass flexing around it, his back arching as a gentle pressure increased on his internal walls, Venom opening him up, angling the light as if to see better inside. The feeling of being so exposed was delicious, especially when his symbiote sent a tentacle up inside, alongside the speculum to probe at his prostate, of course. Eddie's stuffed dick tried desperately to shoot pre-cum, his extended balls aching, shaft throbbing hotly around the sound. Fuck!
I'm sure you don't make this much noise, usually during prostate examinations.
Venom observed, which was a terrible lie, as Eddie had never been able to shut himself up, where either his symbiote or his prostate was concerned. Venom had never quite drawn it out as thoroughly as this either, the tentacle forming into a thick finger that glided over his prostate, while another drew the speculum slowly out. A slow feeling of pressure and release that was maddeningly good. More! Eddie groaned as another thick finger pushed into his ass alongside the first.
So uncomfortable.
Slick with imitation lube. Little sparks of sensation shot up the length of his back as Venom pressed them either side of his prostate. And he moaned, insides feeling hollow, when they next pulled tenderly out, leaving him empty and shaking with need. Poor baby.
You're being very patient, Eddie.
Venom praised.
Everything is looking as it should. I believe we are ready, if you wish to proceed.
Oh, yes, I'm so ready. Eddie craned his neck eagerly, desperate to see. You've kept him safe, right? Venom sniffed, unimpressed.
You ready?
Fucking here we go again.
Do you think I would let any harm befall our eggs?
If that's not a good place to end part one, I don't know what is.
I mean, we still have tons of time if you want to keep going.
I'm pretty tired. Let's cut it there.
Okay.